Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Bon matin à tous. I'm Julie Sear. I work in Ottawa, which is in Ontario, and I am the general manager of the Early Learning Department, and I work for the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. Am I coming in and out? Is this better? We're good. All right. So first and foremost, thank you to the organizing team for inviting me to this wonderful event to talk about a really important subject that's really dear and near to my heart as a registered early childhood educator who's been in the field since 1989. And I'm going to describe a bit of our school board's journey to operate early learning and childcare. It's a quick synopsis. There are many things that I will skip over, but if any of you have any questions about how we came about, please don't hesitate to stop me anywhere and we can have a quick chat. So our journey began in June 2009 when Dr. Charles Pascal, a special advisor on early learning, created a report to the Premier and the Ontario government with our best futures in mind, implementing early learning in Ontario. And I'm bringing this forward because this was a starting point that I feel where we were looking at moving towards a public system. May not be in the way, in the terms that we're using today, but it was a real sound, solid foundation to start the conversations. And in this report, it was developed in early years a policy framework that required a lot of recommendations to be implemented between the years 2010 and 2014. And by 2014, the majority of the policy framework was implemented. So how does that tie in with school boards? Why are we involved in this type of early learning and childcare policy? Publicly funded school boards became active agents, and I mean that wholeheartedly, of understanding and want to understand the early years and the planning and delivery of services. School boards continue in Ottawa to play an even greater role in integrating and coordinating early years programs, providing an environment where services can be co-located for the convenience of parents, caregivers, and families. One of the things that I'd like to mention is that in Ontario, school boards, there are 4 of them. You can have an English public school board, you can have an English Catholic school board, then you have a French public school board and a French Catholic school board. In my career, I've been quite fortunate to work for both French public and Catholic, and I am now currently working for Ottawa's largest school board in Ottawa since COVID, so I started just before COVID. And I could say that between the 4 school boards, it was really important for us to get involved in early learning and in childcare. The priority areas for us at the OCDSB, the Ottawa Carleton, thank you. I appreciate that. You did, and I do appreciate that. My apologies, I have a tendency just to talk, and I am a francophone, so I will be using my hands quite frequently. So priority areas for action for our school board was obviously the implementation of full-day kindergarten. So what that means is 4 and 5-year-olds attend school all day. And please don't imagine 4 and 5-year-olds sitting on desks or in a chair in your traditional classroom. This is not what it looks like. We at the Ottawa District School Board have a registered early childhood educator that starts before school, so say at 6:45, and they will be done at around 2:45. Then we have another registered early child educator that comes in at around 10:45 and finishes at 6:45. And then we have a teacher that works the core day. So these three professionals work together, and there's a period of time where they overlap. So in essence, what that does is for children, it provides them with a constant educator every day within one classroom. It's not perfect. There are lots of challenges, but there are way more successes when it comes to that collaboration of working together. The other priority was to ensure that the school board was able to deliver before and after school care, what we call the extended day. And by us being able to hire 2 RECEs for 7 hours a day was a great benefit to registered early child educators because we're not working with split shifts. And if you've been a registered early child educator, you know that most of the time, back in the old days, when you would start in the field, you would get a split shift or the late shift. And then the delivery also of early learning centers for infant, toddler, or preschool. Currently, we're only offering toddler and preschool. We used to offer infant program, but it became more and more challenging to be able to find sufficient amount of staff. And then it's also another priority was because in our schools, we had spaces that we could utilize, but we couldn't utilize it for childcare based on regulation. We were able to also be part of delivering the early on childcare and family centers. And these classrooms are completely equipped with infant to school age, so I would say most of the time it's before they enter kindergarten, to come and attend playgroups and access resources and to sort of eliminate some of that social isolation to be able to come into an environment that's a playgroup so that they can communicate and learn, but they're also within a school. So as we've mentioned already, since 2014, 4 and 5-year-olds have access to a full-day kindergarten. And the provincial government requires that in every school where there's a sufficient amount of demand, there has to be a before and after school program. It could be operated either by the school board or it can be operated by a community childcare partner. But the community childcare partner are non-for-profit childcare partners or an approved recreational program, and they determine who those partners are, and it could be such as the YMCA, the City of Ottawa recreation program, or the Boys and Girls Club. So within our school board, we sort of have a hybrid model. We have a combination of the two. Our school board operates both toddler, preschool, and before and after, and we also have community partners that are licensed programs that have signed on to the CWELC agreement, and they also can offer, depending on the school, infant, toddler, or preschool, and before and after school. So we have both, and it's my role to support both and to ensure that families within any of our schools have access to service where there's sufficient amount of demand. So quickly, the full-day kindergarten falls under the Education Act through the Ministry of Education. And one of the key elements of full-day kindergarten is that it also recognizes the vital skill sets of early childhood educators in the early learning environment. So it's really important to understand that we view the RECE, the educator, and the teacher as two professionals with complementary skills. And it's really important to foster that teamwork. It's really important to foster how they view children, because sometimes they can view it from different lenses. but for a common goal, which is a curriculum based on play-based learning. And that the classroom is designed with areas of play. Thank you. So at a glance, what I'm going to share with you next is where we are at now. And as I mentioned earlier, this journey really started in 2000. This district school board in 2010 was the implementation of full-day kindergarten, and that's when before and after school programs started. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey through different government visions on how they view early learning and childcare, different legislative changes along the way, different theories of practice along the way. So please know that where we're at today is not where we began. It took a long time, and it took a lot of great people before me, and most definitely after me, to be able to operate in a school board and within a school board. So currently, the Ottawa Carleton District School Boards school board has 114 elementary schools. Now keep in mind, as I mentioned at the onset, we have 4 different school boards, so everyone's vying for student registrations. We operate 67 licensed extended day programs, and we support over 4,300 children. What I'd like to mention is that is our operating capacity, but our licensing capacity is 10,500. If you can imagine, in every school, every classroom can be utilized, and every classroom can be of support to offering before and after school care. So the numbers seem astronomical, but they could be. Obviously, where we're not at 10,005 is because of the workforce. We do not have sufficient amount of workforce to be able to offer the programs that we could potentially offer. We also have 3 licensed early learning centers for toddlers and preschoolers. So in Ontario, the government was providing and continues to provide what we call capital childcare investment. So when we build schools with childcare integrated in the building. So my vision, and this is my vision, and it's not a big vision or a complicated vision, is that when families walk into door A for toddlers or infant toddlers and preschoolers within a school building, and then they register for school when they're 4, they're not a brand new family when they go into door B. And it's a great and lofty vision. We're not there yet, but they're in the same building. They're in the same community. And for those of you that have experience with before and after school care, a lot of times they became different children between 7 and 9 and between 3 and 5. And the educators, our educators that work with us during the day, automatically are different between 7 and 9 and 3 and 5. And the legislations, and I'll get into that a little more, also are not aligned because the children become different, I guess, between 7 and 9 and 3 and 6. So there are challenges there, but there are a lot more benefits to this. We also have 8 early on and child and family centers in our schools. And we also help support our adult learners through continuing education. We have programs for adults in ESL, language instruction for newcomers, literacy basic skills. So what we do is we provide childcare on site. So it's not licensed because the parents are on site. So they come to school in the morning, so they go to their school and they drop off their child at a childcare center that's in the school and they go to class. So in between class and breaks, or if we need some adult support, they're right there to be able to join their parents. And we also help facilitate and support 28 childcare agreements with third-party, non-for-profit childcare operators, which are my partners. They're my partners because they do the same work that we do. And they're in 28 elementary schools, which is why I was mentioning we have a hybrid model. So how much staff? How many educators do we need to be able to operate these programs? So currently we employ 861 registered early childhood educators. And we also need to employ early learning assistants, and we call them early learning assistants, who are non-qualified staff to be able to maintain ratios and to be able also, as we grow, there is only so many classrooms that we can put 2 educators. So in some schools, we need even more educators to work before and after school. And it's very difficult and challenging to find registered early childhood educators that only want to work part-time or have split shifts. So we are required to seek out non-qualified early learning assistants to help support the work that they do. And my path and my learning journey working with early learning assistants is we in Ottawa, and I'm sure and where you live, we have a lot of new families and newcomers that come with teaching degrees that are economists, doctors, so on and so forth. And they're coming to us looking for work. And we meet a lot of amazing people with a lot of amazing backgrounds that are not qualified, but that can do the work really well. And we have other individuals that we help support that want to pursue their education in early childhood education, and we support them in a variety of ways so that we can then try and help support a workforce. The majority of our registered early childhood educators are unionized under the Secondary School Teachers Federation, OSSTF, and we have approximately 30 ECEs and all of our early learning assistants that are union exempt, therefore they're not represented by a union. So in order to ensure these daily operations for these programs, our school board has a department, an early learning department. And we also have an agreement with the province where we receive some funding for an early learning lead, which is generally a superintendent of instruction to help support that implementation of early learning in childcare. And also to encourage more community participation within activities that happen in the school board, or we participate in community activities. So it's really to try and create that process. I've got like 3 minutes, so I need to speed up. So we are a mighty group of registered early child educators that have various positions. So some of the advantages. And I'll run through them quickly, is better consistency for expansion and flexibility of services, as I was mentioning earlier. Increased recruitment for student registration. Obviously, if parents are going to the childcare, it's a one-stop shop because it becomes a community hub. We are in a position to support and ensure quality and access to programs run by our department. As when we have community partners, it's a partnership. They still have the ability to operate the way they want to operate. Programs that are aligned with the OCDSB strategic plan, better position for the expansion of the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement, CWELC. Therefore, more children and families in school buildings prior to starting schools. One of the things I'd want to mention is that's a key and important part for us. Not all parents and families have had positive experiences in the education system. So when they first start, and they first come in, this is a wonderful way to start building that relationship. We have the opportunity to develop ongoing monitoring and intervention, special programming goals based on our data, develop strong relationships with our parents, support early identification that require further intervention or additional support, similarly to our childcare partners, support succession planning within our board because they can move on to some administrative roles. Promotes a continuum of pedagogical practices, increase parental trust, promotes an inclusive and diverse environment, supports the sharing of information in order to provide a warm handover in school, and serves as a community hub. The challenges, I got 1 minute. Regulatory compliances, because our educators work within 2 acts, they work within the Education Act and the Childcare and Early Years Act, and they have different rules and regulations during the day than they do than before and after school. So it can be complex and time-consuming and not always aligned. The administrative requirements for implementing CWELC have heightened. There has been more administrative burden and it have eroded some of our operational independence. The challenges, securing adequate funding to cover operational costs, salaries, and fees. Salaries are negotiated between the union and the provincial partners, so minimal control over cost and salaries. And then freezing of fees for children 6 years and under. So it's a little daunting when you can't control your revenue and you can't control your budget. And it's a big budget. Staffing, recruiting, and training and retaining qualified staff is paramount, and because of the workforce crisis, the completion or the ability to attract facilities in regards to legislation to be able to actually pass licensing, ballooning wait lists. It can be confusing for families because it's the same people that work during the school day. I feel like yeah. And then it can be confusing, but we work really hard on communication. The number of children that require additional supports have increased. We have specialized classes in our schools, and they want to access childcare as well. So we can have a school that has 2 or 3 ASDs, so children on the spectrum classrooms, and then they want to access services as well, and we try our best to be able to support them with the limited resources that we have. So in the end, my opinion is public childcare system has really the potential to significantly enhance the well-being and the economic prospects for families and provide structure and nurturing environment for children, enhancing their development. So making it a crucial consideration for Canada. We have started, we're on an amazing path. It starts, the landscape marks an important starting point. However, there's still much advocacy needed to truly establish a comprehensive public early learning and childcare system. Thank you for your patience.